Well, thank you so much for agreeing to speak with me today. To start out, for those who aren't familiar with 3U Holding, what is the overall strategy and value proposition?
Hi, Ken. Thanks for your time and thanks for the opportunity to spending a couple of seconds with 3U, a smaller microcap in the German market. So the overall strategy, well, let's put it that way. We're a diversified conglomerate, a small one that is, and we're successful in megatrends, as we put it. And what are we talking about? The three megatrends are renewable energies, e-commerce, and cloud computing. So this is nothing which fits best at first sight, but I'd like to explain a little bit about those three megatrends we're active in. Obviously, we're not driving those megatrends, but we've got profitable business models in all three these megatrends. So renewable energies, what are we doing there? We are generating power from wind and solar. This is a fairly comfortable business model because all we have to do is to make sure that the technology works, and in that case, when the wind blows, money comes in, and when the sun shines, money comes in. This is sort of our cash cow. There's two disadvantages to this business model. One is we're depending on the weather conditions. And to be honest, this year we had not much wind in Germany and not much sun also. So you will find in our numbers that our wind yield and solar irradiation result in a somewhat lower revenue from this segment. The other disadvantage is that you can't grow this business without taking a lot of money in your hand and high capex to expand the facilities we have in that respect. So this is, as mentioned, the backdrop. On the other hand, as mentioned, when the weather is fine, we are happy to generate the cash. So what's the perspective for this segment? Come the day that we find a better opportunity to invest the capital bound in these facilities, we'd be also ready to dispose of these wind farms and solar power plant. So for the time being, this is, as mentioned, the cash cow. Talking about e-commerce now, we have a online shop in a niche market. We are among the leading German online vendors of systems in the heating, climatization, and water management sectors. This is a B2C business. We're selling systems and components to home builders and do-it-yourselfers all around Germany and some neighboring countries such as Austria, Netherlands, and Belgium. So mentioning that it's about systems and components, this means that you won't buy this like you do hammer and nail or nuts and bolts. It's about the more challenging stuff you do when you're talking about your home. You and me would be able to install a underfloor heating in your apartment or in your home if you've got the right stuff and if you've got the right advice how to do it. So this is where we differentiate ourselves from the competition. With Selfio on YouTube, on our own website, wherever you're looking, you get the right hints as to how to actually do it. This also extends to personal advice, consulting, and planning assistance from our team, helping those home builders and do-it-yourselfers to make their homes more comfortable. This is also a growing business, but I have to admit that this year we are under the same economic influence like most of the economies worldwide. You are certainly aware of the supply chain disruptions we're experiencing right now and the price increases. The same is true for our Selfio e-commerce. So we are a little bit hampered by this surroundings this year, but as soon as we'll have caught up with the supply chain worldwide, we'll be able to pick up and resume our growth course in this business also. For 2021, we still, and in spite of these obstacles, we expect a slight organic growth or a flat business development in 2021. So looking now at the cloud computing business we have, this is the most thrilling and exciting business in our group, because what we've got there is a fast-growing, highly profitable ERP platform for the small and medium-sized businesses around the globe. And maybe I should expand on that a little bit more, but maybe can you have initial questions to the other two megatrends we're active in?
Yeah, you talked a little bit about the renewable, and so what are your thoughts on over the next several years? Would you ever see yourself expanding significantly, or for at least the next couple of years, kind of stay where you're at because of the capex requirements?
As mentioned, Ken, this is the cash cow, and we don't think we'd change a lot in terms of expanding. And as mentioned also, over time, we are ready to dispose of this segment if and insofar as we see a better capital allocation option.
Great. Yeah, no, that's great. Definitely, it sounds like there's a lot going on. Let's talk a little more about cloud computing. That is definitely an exciting thing we're seeing, especially in Europe with a lot of companies making that transition. Can you tell us a little more about that business, and especially with it being highly profitable, growing quickly? Can you kind of share with investors more about that business? Because it sounds like it'll be a key driver for 3U Holding.
That's true, and particularly insofar as quite a bit of the valuation of the group depends on the valuation of weclapp. You see, we are amidst a revolution. The ERP market is undergoing significant change because it was dominated for many, many decades by these on-premises solutions. We call them ERP 2.0. So if a company wants to gain efficiency advantages and run their businesses more smoothly, they can use software, and there's specialized software from quite a few vendors, large ones mostly. The best known are the SAPs, Oracles, Microsoft Dynamics of this world. The point is, if you want to use these systems, you have to first analyze your company. You have to have consultants around assisting in customizing the software to fit your company and to turn your company upside down to fit the software. This is highly expensive and a tedious business, and more often than not, the attempts to implement such a ERP 2.0 system simply fails. We've got a number of examples, even this year in Germany, and I'm certain also in other countries. So the difference is, as soon as you arrive at a cloud-based ERP platform, you have a click and play experience, because what we are producing is a highly standardized product for the mass market of small and medium-sized businesses. Most of these businesses currently have some Excel sheets, notes, and quite a diversified landscape of different low-cost systems, which are more often than not hardly intertwined. What we have on offer is a platform that helps small and medium-sized businesses run their business from one application with one login on one platform. And this is the reason why this business is growing so fast, because SMBs experience the advantages they have from this easy to use and comprehensive software. We say with weclapp, we are tech leader, we are price leader, and we want to become market leader. So what does that mean? And what do we understand by market leader? Obviously, we are not the ones to overtake SAP in terms of revenue next year. That would be a stupid ambition. But rather, we think we want to make weclapp over time the preferred ERP solution for small and medium-sized businesses around the globe. This is our ambition. And to get there, we are happy to tell you that weclapp has no inherent barriers to growth. Why that? weclapp was developed from the very start as a solution which is highly scalable. That is, the technology platform in itself has been designed to be expanded, infinitely, by adding new data centers and new technology server stacks. Most of our competitors, weclapp was not built on financial accounting. Why that? Financial accounting is in general local by nature, because it's subject to local law, such as the German Commercial Code, Code Commercial in France, US GAAP, and other regulations. So if you want to internationalize a solution based on this legal requirements, you have to work on the core of your solution. weclapp, by contrast, has been developed to cover the merchandise management processes, the everyday processes all small and medium-sized businesses have to carry out day by day. You've got customers, you want to know what you've done with them in the past, you want to send them new offers and proposals. You want to make sure that your correspondence is archived. Now you get an order from the customer, so you have to make sure you've got the right stuff on stock, or you've got the right staff to handle the projects that were commissioned. And you have to produce, procure, ship goods. and you have in the end to send an invoice and make sure that the money comes onto your bank account. So here you are with weclapp, a small and medium-sized business can run its entire business processes on one platform. And this is the sort of and these processes are alike all over the globe, independent of the legal framework and the geographic peculiarities. This is the same all over the place. As of now, we've got weclapp in 7 languages. And again, it was built to make it possible to add a new language layer whenever needed and appropriate. So no inherent barriers to growth. And the same is true for the organization. We have an agile and process-oriented organization that is growing the company. Definitely will be a challenge, but we are prepared to tackle this.
So you talked a little bit about the competition. One thing investors are curious about is, what would you say is the company's competitive advantage? And then who would you see are kind of your main competitors? How are you differentiated from them?
Well, happily enough, in terms of power generation, what sort of competition would there be? We've got our PPAs or our feed-in tariffs, and so this is no competition in that respect in terms of renewable energies. The niche player, Cellfio, has a couple of competitors, which I guess investors would not know because it is a niche. We're not competing against the big Hornbach, Obi, and other large retail shops and their online offerings, but rather we have a number of smaller specialists. And as mentioned, our competitive advantage obviously is customer orientation and advice and consulting in that respect. Talking about weclapp, obviously there is a vast number of companies active in this field. You should have in mind that this is a huge and still growing market, where we feel direct competition is rare. We do have a couple of tenders where we participate, but mostly customers find us due to our excellent search engine optimization. That is, and this is how currently the search for such software is being carried out. So where we compete is actually in the search engines, such as Google and others. We want to be on top of the list in a number of terms and search and searches, and this in fact is what we achieve by producing content. So currently we gain 60 customers per month and expanding our customer base on this methodology only at a fast pace. There are, I guess, a handful of genuinely cloud-based companies around offering cloud-based ERP or enterprise software systems, while the large vendors, the global companies, still have difficulties in migrating their on-premises strategies onto the cloud, and their entire cost structure prevents them from offering competitive pricing for the market we are addressing.
Great, that makes sense. Let's shift gears a little bit. What key initiatives are you focusing on to drive growth? I know in the past you've talked about that there are 5 or 6 key initiatives, and can you kind of give us an update on how those are going and how you see those impacting the company's long-term potential?
Yeah, well, let me focus on weclapp in particular. We do have initiatives in the other segments, in the other business areas as well. With weclapp, we focus on expanding our online marketing, as I mentioned, that search engine optimization. We don't pay Google Ads or something at weclapp. We are looking at the perfect product. We are optimizing and enhancing the platform every day. And this being a platform, obviously, the releases we are making public are available to all users at the push of a button. That is, when we have added some functionality, brushed over the user interface, this is available to our customers from instant one. So what else do we do? A key driver will be internationalization. As of now, we are focused on the German market. We have in Germany a growth of 50% CAGR since market entry. But we are now actively producing content, expanding, using the German experience as a blueprint, expanding our search engine feed to other languages. We have started in Italy. Italian content is available. We are now developing French, Spanish, and English language content to address the markets in France, Spain, and UK. So this will obviously be one of the key growth drivers. We are also investing and spending a lot of money in implementing artificial intelligence algorithms and functionalities into the software, making us one of the first movers towards ERP 4.0, as we put it, artificial intelligence as a service. This includes solutions such as forecast algorithms, a self-learning artificial employee, so to speak, in our project Harmony, and other minor improvements which we offer our customers for free even. And another initiative I'd like to focus on is M&A. This year we completed 2 acquisitions. One of a leading provider of a B2B procurement and sales platform for the IT industry in Germany. And we see a lot of synergy potential in the acquisition of IT Scope. And we recently acquired a startup, no revenues yet, but a quite promising entry tool to the ERP market for self-employed and micro enterprises called FinanzGeek. They have a all-in-one small scale solution giving the smallest of our enterprises easy to use tool to optimize their businesses. So these are the initiatives we're undertaking, and we feel that we'll be able to grow weclapp at an even faster pace than in the past.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like weclapp is going to be a key growth driver. And in our last interview, you kind of discussed the business and a potential IPO. What's the latest you can share with investors, for the IPO and the rationale behind it? I know that's one thing that a lot of people are curious about.
Yeah. Well, the rationale behind the IPO obviously is to provide the means to accelerate our growth. This is, I think, no rocket science. As a matter of fact, we are in the process of preparing a possible IPO in the first half of 2022. This having said, you may appreciate that I'm not in the position to disclose much about where we are and what we're thinking of. But obviously, let's get back to the rationale. I was talking about the current move from ERP 2.0 to ERP 3.0. In Germany alone, we have around 500 vendors of ERP 2.0 systems, from the big shots like Software AG and SAP and others, down to the nitty-gritty vendors who have one customer only. So still, we anticipate that this market is undergoing severe consolidation, starting now and reaching over the next years. And we want to be part of this process by acquiring some of those legacy systems, in particularly talking about their customer base. We think we have a good point to make with the customers of such a legacy system by telling them they get enhanced and better functionality, better technology at a better price. So our plan is to migrate those customers onto weclapp, thus enhancing our annual average revenue per account, our customer base, and the recurring revenues we will generate with these new customers. So this obviously will cost some money, and we're planning, if the IPO is going to happen and if it's successful, to use the bulk of the proceeds for M&A activities in this sector. Focused M&A activities. We do have a long list of targets. IT Scope and Finance Geek obviously were on this, but I think it would be premature to go into more detail.
Yes, definitely understand. Thank you for sharing that with us. I guess lastly, again, we really appreciate you taking time to speak with us. It's definitely an exciting story. There's a lot going on and a lot of different growth levers. To finish up, what makes 3U Holdings attractive to potential investors in our current market? Are there any key segments that you really want to highlight to investors? What is the big message you want to leave them with from our talk today?
Yeah, well, the IPO is a key option to unleash value potential in the group. And looking at current talks with investors who are looking at 3U, we feel that this is being understood in the capital markets. And so I guess there are some hidden reserves in 3U, and a possible IPO of weclapp might unleash at least part of this.
Great. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us today. It's a very exciting story, and we really appreciate your time speaking with us today about 3U Holding.
Great. Many thanks, Ken, for this opportunity. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.